Len Robbins. So we'll get some tourney analysis and maybe touch on some other things with the great Len Robbins. Literally, it's great to see you.
No one has ever looked at me and said those words, so I'm a little humbled and flattered. And although I will say you guys set me up perfectly, because when I logged in, the last thing I heard you say was disparaging remarks. And then you said, up next is Len Robbins. All right, well, we've set the parameters for this show.
The time.
Wake up with Defo, joined by Lubie. Welcome to the Defo Show.
Very pleasant. Good morning, everybody. Sorry about a little bit of a late start here. The usual technical glitches with computers switching and all kinds of crazy stuff going on the technological side, but good to be with you. Jeff DeForest, we got Mike Lubitz, and it's always a pleasure to have Lubie, because I think he's caught the fever, the Final Four fever. We'll get into that a little bit, as Scott Spinelli is going to join us. Outstanding commentator, been around, man. You talk about a guy with a voluminous resume of various stops that he's been at, mostly as an assistant coach. He's been a head coach on a college level, an assistant in both college and professional ranks, and outstanding, usually with a very pointed and clear-cut, definitive opinion on what might transpire. So we'll have his analysis on the last couple of games in the Final Four that come up. 3 games left in the college basketball season. I find this, Lubie, and I don't know if it's true for you. I think it might be, where you kind of get caught up in the fever. It happens especially if one of your local teams, wherever you happen to be, is involved in a run to a championship. You'll see the momentum pick up in the city wherever the team is competing. And I find this, I can't wait for these games coming up on Saturday, which is a big surprise, because I was not immersed and entrenched in college basketball during the regular season. We'd be the first to admit that. Did we even mention college basketball at all until the conference play? Yeah, we're always taking a look at it, because we're at least on the periphery. We're going to touch on as many sports and sporting activities as we can. But definitely caught up in the fever. It's a long wait between the last games that we saw on Sunday to get the qualifiers, the final qualifiers for the Final Four, and the Saturday tip-offs that we're going to get. I found the same thing happen to me watching, I'm a huge tennis fan, Lubie, and I could watch tennis all day on the tube, no matter what the significance of the tournament is. 2 guys are duking it out somewhere in Guam, and they're ranked under the 250th spot in the world, and I'm still somewhat interested to see, hey, you know what? You never know if a new guy's going to emerge, or some woman's going to come on the scene like Mira Andreeva has, just taken over the tennis world, or emerged quickly to the top. So I'm watching this tournament. It's in the aftermath, Lubie, of the Sunshine Double, as they call it. You have 2 major ATP 1000 tournaments. Those are great, the men and the women, all the top players. And they play a 10-day event at Indian Wells out in Palm Springs, California. First half of the Sunshine Double. And then the second half, completed just recently here, with great matches all throughout. And then an improbable champion on the men's side, as Jakub Mensik knocks off the Joker, Novak Djokovic, who still, you have to be finding that somewhat remarkable, that Djokovic, with all the injuries that he's incurred in the last couple of years, and the different controversies and motivational factors that you would have to think may not be at their ultimate peak, but still makes his way into the final here, and is a very significant force in the world of men's tennis. Now, Aryna Sabalenka has been dominating, especially on the hard courts. Just too much power for the rest of the women in the field, although there have been times where she's faltered in the championship round, including this year in the Australian Open. But been fascinated by it. So I found myself, after watching a lot of tennis through the Indian Wells tournament, and then again subsequently in the Miami Open right here in our hometown, wanted to get down there and never made it down. Is there less incentive, Lubie, because that you just don't have the atmosphere at the Hard Rock Stadium location for the tennis tournament? Now, thank God they did this. Stephen Ross, often disparaged for his sort of cavalier attitude towards the way the Dolphins front office has operated. Just give them more money and let them go out there and screw it up.
Yeah.
But wow, you have to give them credit for saving that event, a magnificent event here, and a significant part of the spring and winter sports scene here in South Florida. great that he saved it. But I find, even though it's closer, easier to get to, easier to navigate your way there, Lubie, straight down the turnpike, and bingo, you're there. I find myself not as interested in attending the event, and I've only done it, I think, a couple of times at Hard Rock Stadium. After making sure that I went several times during the time that the event was contested in Key Biscayne. Is that true? Just from the atmospheric? I mean, it's kind of a cold stadium anyway. Hard Rock Stadium. Is it a stadium where you feel like you're often caught up in the buzz of what's going on there? I guess part of that is dictated by the performance of the home team, which has been less than scintillating if you're watching the Miami Dolphins. But the point of all this being, Lubie, and you're thinking to yourself, what is this cat talking about? That I had a couple of significant observations watching the Charleston tournament that the women are involved in. It's the first of the clay court events. It's classic old Southern affair, been around for a long, long time. You don't get all of the best players in there, but you do get some. And you get a chance to see maybe some up and coming talent or some of the players that get knocked out in the first and second round of these major events, but still have a lot of talent, a lot of skill. And I made two observations, Libby. Are you ready for them? This was the point of this whole opening couple of minutes here of the show. Mm-hmm. Two observations, one of which is, what are the chances I have of acing out Matteo Berrettini, the studly movie star, good-looking Italian tennis player who's also been battling injuries as he was making his rise to the top. He was inside the top 10. Then the last couple of years, in and out with significant injuries, sort of staging a comeback now. He made it, I think, to the quarterfinals in Miami. And he was seeing for a long time the lovely Ayla Tomljanovic. Are you familiar with Ayla Tomljanovic? Who, by the way, I mean, I don't know. She might have got knocked out of the tournament yesterday. I didn't see the result, but I was watching her opening match. The woman is looking great. So what are the odds that I might ace out Matteo Berrettini for the affections of Ayla Tomljanovic? Now, you'll remember her. The significance of Ayla Tomljanovic's career so far has been she was the one that knocked Serena Williams in her final match out of the U.S. Open, and that was her final match as a professional player. Serena Williams. So she holds that distinction. Also, what was on the Breaking Points series on Netflix, and you saw the affair she was having with Matteo Berrettini. Now, I think they broke up shortly after that. But the chances of me acing out Berrettini in that spot, Lubie, would you say slim?
Yes. Maybe less.
Berrettini, I mean, this guy, I mean, even if you're a guy and it doesn't imply anything on your sexual preferences, but you would have to admit this is one studly looking guy, Matteo Berrettini. So no shot there, you're saying?
I would say no.
Remember when Serena was coming out there in those wrestling outfits? You didn't know if you were about to watch a tennis match or see the fabulous Moolah pin somebody in a tag team match at the Cow Palace in San Francisco. That was a bizarre celebration, and deservedly so, although people got turned off to some of the antics of Serena Williams and the fact that basically she was a sore effing loser, no? I mean, the worst of the worst in that category. And did you borrow that from Serena? Because you came up with this. I thought it was brilliant the other day that you hated losing more than you enjoyed winning, Lubie.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I don't know. I know a lot of the great competitors always feel that way.
Hated losing more than you enjoy winning.
When my team wins, whether I was playing or watching, the excitement's like an hour. When your team loses, it's like days. Like it just lingers, and losing's the worst. Ugh.
All right. Well, that was one observation. I don't know if that had any great significance, Louis, but I'm probably out when it comes to a comeback, maybe a rekindling of the flame between Matteo Berrettini and the lovely Ayla Tomljanovic, who was looking great. The other observation on the tennis was, are you familiar with Sofia Kenin, also known as Sonia Kenin? She actually was a product of South Florida tennis systems here. I believe she's listed as an American player. And Sofia Kenin, she had the father figure that was very much like one of those oppressive father figures that a lot of people thought were screwing up her chances of actually advancing in her career. She won the Australian Open, I think, in 2020, so she has a major title. But after that, took a nosedive in terms of her effectiveness, and her rankings were slumping. She's been staging a nice comeback, but I have to say, is she the illegitimate child of Walt No Neck Williams? This woman has no neck, Lubie. Have you seen Sophia Kennan? Her head literally sits on her shoulders. It's the strangest thing
Eh.
to look at. And all I could think of was the great Walt No Neck Williams, and that he had to be involved somehow in the DNA of Sophia Kennan. But she was winning easily in her opening round match, the match that I was watching. Have you seen her, Lubie? You're looking her up,
Yeah,
Sophia
now,
Kennan?
yeah, that's funny. She
All
does
right.
have a neck.
Very good.
That's classic.
How useless were those two observations, Lubie?
That's just funny.
No
She-
shot with Tomjanovich if Matteo Berrettini's in town, and Sophia Kennan, the illegitimate child of No Neck Williams. All right, the two games are set. We're going to talk here in just a few minutes, I think, with Scott Spinelli. Is Scott going to join us, or is he having some problem there, Lubie?
We're working out times. He just got back to me now. I guess he's on Central Time, and he was a little confused
Okay.
in that. So working that out now.
Okay. All right. So we might be able to connect with that. Also, Tony Segreto is going to join us. Line is moving, Lubie, and I mean, I hate to do it in this fashion. It's a silly way to bring this up, but I did get the message that I have Houston winning it all in my bracket. I decided to get a little funky. Of the four teams that are left in the Final Four, Lubie, who seems least likely to win it? In spite of the credo that everybody would subscribe to, and that is that defense wins championships. I'm not sure that that is completely the case here. And I don't know that you can characterize Houston as being a team that is solely a defensive club. It's just their defense is so oppressive, so disruptive, so dismantling, that's so suffocating that you have to think they're in there with a little bit of a shot against Duke, Lubie. Would you give them any chance? Most people would not, and that's the way the betting is going so far. The line opened up at 4.5, and now Duke is a 5.5-point favorite. So the Dukesters and the Duke backers are jumping all over it. They're sending it in proportions, gigantic chunks of cash going in on Duke, raising the line a full point. And you would have to be tempted, Lubie, no, to go ahead and say, if I'm getting 5.5 points with this team that usually keeps itself in every game because of their defensive prowess,
Yep.
and it is significant. I mean,
Yep.
they play a smothering Velcro-like defense, and they're all over it at every spot on the court. Kelvin Sampson wouldn't have it any other way. We were talking about it yesterday. The guy's old school. He doesn't like something that's happening in practice. Next thing you know, you're running 20 suicides, exhausted, and then you go back and resume the practice again. Old school stuff. Here's the Duke Blue Devils, as you might expect, a little bit more existential in their approach, Lubie. Is that a fair way to characterize it? As they have John Shire, and he's got them chanting and doing all kinds of things. I don't know that they're crazy. Did you see Danny Hurley, where he gets the thing out and starts spreading smoke around the court? Okay.
Yes.
All right. We had to scratch with Spinelli here, Scott Spinelli, because of the time confusion.
He'll be on tomorrow now that he realizes that he's in Chicago and we're in South Florida.
Yes. So, unfortunately, we won't get his analysis till tomorrow, but that just makes tomorrow more of a blockbuster.
There you go.
So, Scott Spinelli, he's a good guy. We've had him on before, and it was always, you want somebody that actually can illuminate some of this stuff. You could have the most famous guy talking about games or analyzing a sport, and if they don't say anything that's beyond the parameters of the usual cliches, what good is it, huh? I mean, it's kind of like a Mike Norvell interview, Lubie, where the guy speaks very eloquently and very clearly and very succinctly, and at the same time, you finish the interview up and you say, what the hell did he say?
Hey.
Not a senor. Sarni's challenging me to name the two teams in the NIT final. I almost could. Did Loyola of Chicago survive their game, NIT?
Good for you. No clue.
Nobody cares about that, right? Does anybody care about the
I forgot it's being
tournament
played.
in Las Vegas?
Yeah, exactly. I forgot it's being played.
They had a bunch of games yesterday. It's interesting. Only the degenerate, I think, is really tracking this. Are you either the most diehard college basketball fan,
Yeah.
or that guy that is there in the old days used to be in the race book? Now it's a sports book that's always full and occupied. You didn't see. I mean, you always saw action in the sports book, but it wasn't like it is today, where every kid is showing some kind of phony driver's license, saying, "Yeah, I'm 21." They have a satchel full of cash that they're bringing in there, the likes of which you're wondering. I mean, either this guy is part of some drug cartel, or he's just a runner, a bagman for some other syndicate that's sending in giant sums of money on these games. So we will see a lot of action. But NIT bettors, I mean, would those be the guys that were watching the last race at Balmoral? There's only one guy in a sports book. One window's open, and the clerk can't wait for you to cash out because you're the last guy in there, and they can close up right after you leave. And you're still there cheering for some stiff job that's taking place at this crooked track in Chicago. And that was it. Now there's interest all over, and as soon as you click on, I'm thinking if I'm looking up NCAA odds, Lubie, what are you going to see? You're going to see the two games that are involved in the semifinal round of the NCAA tournament.
Yes.
Instead, you're looking at these obscure teams that are playing in the tournament that's going on in Las Vegas, the name of which escapes me.
Yeah, so the CIA, like it used to be CIA. I don't know what the hell it's called now.
I think it's the NIL tournament they're calling it.
Yeah, exactly.
I believe the top prize, the winning team, do they get $1 million in NIL money? Is that true? Because that certainly would be a new slant on the idea of cutting down the nets and winning a championship. They just load a suitcase full of cash onto the team bus along with the equipment and say, good luck, everybody.
Yeah.
The other thing, too, I mean, have you tracked this coaching carousel that's going on in college? Has it ever been this insane, Lubie?
No, it's nuts. The season's still going on. That's what's weird about it. Like, we haven't finished the season yet. Like, it's just weird.
I'm looking at a list of changes. Now, what would you say would be an average number of coaching changes college basketball one season to the next? Talking all schools here, not just some of the major schools that we're hearing about, because this Buzz Williams now has left Texas A&M, signed a 6-year deal at Maryland. We all know what happened there, where Willard just stunned everybody by taking another job. We've seen any number of high-profile changes on the college coaching front. I'm looking at this list. I can't even count them up. You got everything from Alabama A&M is looking for a new coach, Alcorn State, Arkansas State, Bellarmine, Bryant, Campbell. These are all teams with a coaching change either pending or already accomplished. And it goes all the way down to some of the heavyweight changes that we've seen, where Xavier now has Richie Pitino. West Virginia is looking for somebody to replace Darian DeVries. He has moved on. Ryan Odom comes in at Virginia. Willard is at Villanova now. Phil Martelli Jr., VCU, because Odom left there. I mean, it's insane.
Yeah, it's not.
A dozen changes at the top level, and probably looks like 30 or 40 overall, Lubie. That seems like an enormous number, doesn't it?
The season's not even over. Like, it's just weird. Like, college football, they try to move because you have signing day and you got to keep your class and then get the next class. And now with the early signing days in freaking December, okay. But I don't understand the college basketball movement. Like, and again, that's not even usually the season's done and there's either conference championships or bowls coming up. But like the tournament is like going
there are
on.
always some changes surrounding the tournament. Or as a result of the tournament, where some guy wins 2 games with McNeese or whatever.
Yeah. But that's
after another job. But this has been an insane amount of turnover, and involves, I guess, I don't know, is it all A-list coaches? Maybe not, but I mean, guys that are at least in the high B+ range, and several maybe even A minus. But bizarre to see this, especially as everybody's crying about the destruction of the game and what eventually is going to lead to, I don't know, are people saying that without any regulation in the future, you're going to see the game bring itself to near extinction in terms of interest level? I can't imagine. And there doesn't seem to be any plan or any kind of decision in play to figure out a way to reel in what has become just a rampant chaos.
Yeah.
But the coaches are crying about the NIL and how it's twisted the game in a new direction, and that they really need to get a grip on it and get some kind of regulation involved, a salary cap, something. And yet they're flying to new jobs right and left. Signing 6-year lucrative deals, leaving teams in the middle of the night. I mean, the holy Robert Ursay, what are we talking about here? Just line up the van.
Yep.
I'm leaving town. Hey, where's Coach? His office was cleaned out.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't even know where he went at that point. The lines, though, like I said, Duke now 5.5-point favorite over Houston. Is that because I need Houston that everybody's sending it in on the Duke Blue Devils? How does Houston win that game, Lubie? Do you see any way that Houston
They
wins
play
that
really
game?
good defense, and they can get hot from three. To me, Florida's been the worst of the four. People are harkening back to the regular season where they beat Auburn, but we've seen that like who you are in the Final Four is not the team you were in the beginning of March. Like it's. I don't know. I think they played in middle of February. Like Auburn's clearly a different team than they were then. I mean, I I don't know. I think Houston Duke's going to be a war. I think Duke's going to win just because they are right now the best team in the Final Four, and I think they're going to win the championship at this point. But it's not going to be a walkover. I get it. They've gone through everyone. Houston's the best team they're going to have played, and that's okay. It's the Final Four. It should be. I don't know what people are doing. I get they're known for their defense and their offense can have struggles. Yeah, but we haven't seen that. Like they've been very consistent throughout the entire tournament, and
They beat some good teams. I mean, beating Gonzaga was no small accomplishment.
they've had a decent route. Like I don't know. For the money to be pouring in on Duke, I get Duke's been the most impressive team by far. It's like what UConn did the last 2 years where they didn't have a close game. Duke's done it by more. Like Duke's literally winning by 20 something a game. Versus solid teams, whatever their path is, it's still the tournament. Like they're facing the seeds they're facing. Like, so I get that, but it's not like Houston's. I don't know. The way Florida's played, I could see Duke going through them. If you really wanted a blowout, which I don't see a blowout in this round, but like the Duke Houston blowout thing, I don't get it. Maybe I'll be wrong. Look, I'm the one that had BYU in it against Bama and they got throttled. So like of course I haven't been perfect, but I don't know. Like Houston's been game every round and they're not just like their offense can score. It's just defense is their calling card, but they can get hot behind three like we've seen any of these teams throughout this season. Like, I don't know. I don't get that one at all. Like I hope it would keep increasing and then I'd go Houston and take the points. Like,
yeah, give me some more points, and I'll be happy to take Houston.
No, but if it's rolling up, people are going to keep doing it, right? It's only Wednesday, so it may get up to 6.5. Like then, if it does, because I just see it being a close game. Like I just it feels like it's going to be. It's a Final Four. Sampson's a good coach. Houston is very veteran laden. They know how to play defense, which as good as Cooper Flagg is, he's still young, right? Like if you can get up in there, maybe you make life a little bit more difficult for them. This thing about blowout, I don't know where that came from, but I just don't feel that's anywhere near the case.
Houston, naturally, I mean, being a defensive club, would have to maybe spark it up a little bit on offense. They did score 69 points in their last game, even though they were just they enveloped the opposition, Tennessee, in that ball game. So, I mean, can they do that to Duke? That's the question. Now, would you rather have a team that can put relentless pressure on you on the offensive end and doesn't have a bad defense, or a team that mostly is basing any chance they have to win on defense, as smothering as it may be, but will have to really press the button offensively to be able to compete and stay toe-to-toe with Duke in this ball game? Many people, I mean, this is the one encouraging thing for me. Many people are conceding now that Duke is far and away the best team in the Final Four. So let's see them get knocked out here in this round, and then I'll have some reason to celebrate. It would be awesome. Major League Baseball, a couple of things where we did wrong. Was this a premature evaluation? We thought the Marlins would be the worst team in the league. They're 4-2.
Yep.
They knocked off the Mets. I did not realize this because we were tracking Rafael Devers of the Boston Red Sox, who now is a robust 0 for 19, Lubie.
Oh, Jesus.
0 for 19, but I mean, it's not like, well, you know what? He's hitting the ball on the nose. Hitting that real tough luck. 15 strikeouts.
They got to get him
here.
club. We've seen that where, and it still feels weird to send a star down to the minors. So I don't know where you send them, but we've seen that with guys when they're in the stupid ass slumps and they send them to some Pawtucket or something, let them get their confidence back. And I mean, when you're over 19 with that many strikeouts, like you're not even seeing the ball. Like you have it's like Rick Ankiel type lost. Like, I mean, 0 for 19 with that many, with double digit strikeouts. Like, isn't he a contact
out of 19 at bats?
Like, isn't he a contact?
He has 4 walks. Somehow he managed to put one in play, one of the 4 balls he's put in play, and knock in a run. But that's an horrendous start. But I didn't even realize this. Equally ice cold, although it wasn't getting as much attention until I happened to tune in just as Francisco Lindor of the very high-priced New York Mets organization, who are now, I mean, I know it's only 6 games, but imagine being at any point behind the Marlins in the standings in the National League East with that Mets lineup at the $750 million man. And Juan Soto? This Steve Cohn, for all the money that he's made, does he live under somewhat of a dark cloud? Is there a curse involved there no matter what he tries to do? I don't know how it's going to work out. Let's face it. It's a marathon, Defo. What are you talking about? You can't assess the season 6 games in. No, you can. I understand that.
Yeah,
Although it does look like our prediction that the Dodgers would go undefeated.
that's still true.
That remains intact as they're off to a 7-0 start. Padres kind of surprising some people. They had some changes that you thought were not necessarily going to be favorable during the offseason, and yet they get off to a 6-0 start. So the National League West showing signs of maybe having somewhat of a race on. I believe this, though, and we saw it. I mean, last year it was just abysmal at best. The Marlins, and we were trying to bury them early in the season because we had the inside information that they were going to be horrible. And went ahead and recommended that everybody take the under, and the over-under total for the season was somewhere around 75 games, I believe.
No, they're coming off the playoffs.
Might have been 79 games. They were coming out of a playoff season. They were coming out of having the manager of the year, of course, unceremoniously departed the organization for a job selling hot dogs with the Cleveland Guardians or something. I don't even know. Where did Skip Schumacher go? St. Louis? Did he go back there?
I don't know.
Not sure.
That's a good question.
Maybe this Bendix guy was right all along. Is that possible? He appeared to be criminally insane. That his only mission, when you bring in a hatchet man, that his only job is to completely discombobulate any chance you have of having success. You would accuse Chris Greer of being this guy, would you not? You think there's some sinister subplot there? There's some kind of conspiracy that he's only being retained so that the Dolphins will have everybody living in futility for the rest of their lives? How many people out there feel the same way about your franchise, whatever city you happen to be in? That it's all about self-sabotage. But it appeared that this was the mission of this guy. But maybe could he be some kind of raw disciple of the whole Tampa Bay Rays? The Rays are off to a 4-1 start. Their system where no matter who they have, no matter what impossible hurdles they have to overcome, they somehow manage to go out there and win games while all these teams that are pouring money and dollars into the players' pockets and just crawling all over themselves to sign guys at humongous salaries end up as also-rans.
Yes.
Which, we'll see. But I do believe that you can bury yourself early in the season. No doubt about that, Lubie. Where at the games, everybody said, well, it really doesn't matter until we get to September. I don't think so. I think every game counts in the standings, Lubie. Whenever people try to sell you that, it's a complete cop-out, a complete excuse that you have to be concerned about some of these games because you can put yourself out of contention just as easily early in the season as you might be able to run away and hide. So watching these early games, I think, is of some significance. We did have Evaldi go all the way in a ball game yesterday. Complete game, first complete game of the season.
That's rare.
You can't even imagine that. What, did the manager fall asleep?
Yeah. I mean, Alcantara's the one dude that used to do it a lot. Outside of him, no one, like entire teams would go all year without having one.
Nathan Evaldi, man, that guy's got like the $6 million man arm. He's been repaired more often than we saw anybody on any kind of fantasy series like that. As Lee Majors was the guy. I was blanking on his name. Lee Majors. Whose arm has been worked on more? Lee Majors or Nathan Evaldi? What do you think?
I don't know.
That was we lost one. Speaking of acting, Val Kilmer, man, checked out. Yeah.
Oh, geez, really?
Yeah, he had some kind of. He was battling cancer, I believe. Throat cancer.
He's that old. Oh,
usually not a very fortunate situation, but yeah, he was great, man. I thought he did a great job. Underrated movie when he played Jim Morrison in the movie about the Doors. I think he did a good job on it. All right, speaking of doing a great job, we're going to get into it. Let's introduce him to the audience here because it's Old School with Tony Segreto coming up as we do this every Wednesday. The great Tony Segreto, iconic broadcaster, joins us here on the program. Can you pop Tony into the picture? There he is.
Good morning, Lubie. Good morning, Defo.
Good morning, Tony. Good morning.
How are you, Tony? You're looking good, kid. How are you feeling?
How are you?
I'm good. I feel great. I really do. The weather has been fantastic here where we reside in South Florida.
Great weather.
Amazing. You got all this stuff happening in sports. And because we delved and dove so heavily into this NCAA tournament, which we're still immersed in. A lot of early stuff in the baseball season got by me. There's some rule changes in the NFL. I don't know how you feel about that because they still ignore us, Tony. We have the answer.
And
we know what to do.
What is the answer?
With the overtime.
To the NFL overtime. Again, another butcher job by Roger Goodell and his crew of inept people that happen to be on the rules committee. Where is Don Shula when you need him? Hey, Don! Wouldn't Don Shula have been in favor of the right way to do this? We'll get into that when we come back with Tony Segreto. Old School, brought to you by Texas Roadhouse Restaurants. That gets started in a moment. Now that.
The time.
We have the answer, Tony.
I know we do.
Nobody's buying it. Very offended by this. It's 8:38.
Hey, folks, Tony Segreto here. Let me ask you a question. What do you look for when you go out to eat? Good food, obviously, friendly atmosphere, not too loud, but good energy, reasonable prices, and a place where you feel comfortable. All those ingredients, no pun meant there, are hard to find unless you're talking about the Texas Roadhouse. You see, they encompass all of those attributes. Really, really good food, amazing atmosphere, good for a family, good for a date, or just a night out for yourself, and prices that will make you extremely happy. Their ribs, unmatched. Steaks, hand-cut every day. Everything, and I mean everything, is made on site, including their incredible bread. It's the one day, folks, that you can forget about low-carb diets. Trust me when I tell you, Texas Roadhouse, your restaurant, your destination when you say, where should we go and eat tonight?
From the newly renovated sports bar to the beautiful bayside views captured at the Tiki Bar, Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill has it all. Located at mile marker 104, the Big Chill also offers waterfront dining while experiencing breathtaking sunset views of the Florida Keys. It's simply the hottest spot in the Keys to cool off. That's Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill at mile marker 104 in Key Largo. For more information, call today at 305-453-9066.
What we gonna do right here is go back, way back into time.
We are now kicking it old school with the one and only Tony Segreto. Brought to you by Texas Roadhouse.
All right, welcome back to the show. We're going to answer a few things here and solve a couple of sports mysteries, or at least add to the speculation about what should be done. Mike Lubie up there in, well, for me, it's the upper left corner. And the great Tony Segreto joining us here, brought to you by Texas Roadhouse Restaurants. The owners' meetings for the NFL, are they not taking place right here in our hometown of Palm Beach, Florida?
Yes, they are. Yes, they are.
Okay. Well, I mean, are you tempted, Tony? What are you doing this afternoon? We should drive up there. Are they still ongoing? We need to grab somebody by the shirt collar and say, what the hell are you guys doing?
Well, we can do that if you want to.
Are they determined to ruin the game?
If you want to experience getting thrown out of something, we can go and do it.
Oh, these guys love it. I mean, if we brought a camera there, it doesn't even have to be an operational camera. It doesn't have to be something that's actually working, Tony. All we'd have to do is show up with anything. And now you can just, because of all of the streaming and podcasting, you just show up and hold the phone up, and you're a member of the media now. So, but these guys love talking about themselves, do they not? The owners, and I guess you have the general managers there. The first thing I noticed that was coming out of there of any significance were these rule changes. Somebody's asking about the tush push. That was tabled.
Can you believe that was tabled?
Oh, really? They really tabled it?
Make a decision. It's either a good play or it's not.
It's either a good, yeah, exactly. You either keep it or you don't keep it. Yes or no?
To me, I mean, for my money, it goes against the grain and the fiber of what the game is supposed to be all about in this sense that and we talked about it a little bit yesterday, but it goes back to what interpretation you have about forward progress, Tony. Yeah. Where, okay, the guy's been stopped, and now the pile's moving, but as opposed to in the past when the defensive players used to just all get together and annihilate the guy that had the ball and push him 20 yards backwards, and then they would put the ball to as far forward as the running back or the receiver was able, whoever was carrying the ball, as far forward as he may have gotten, forward progress. But I don't know that you can have that happen in reverse and call it legal, where if you're going to award the guy the spot where he was pushed back when 11 defenders were all over him, then how can you allow him to have the advantage of moving the ball forward when 10 offensive players are pushing a guy forward? Would you not have to just say forward progress was stopped, and because these guys, whenever they engage in pushing them forward, then the play is dead right there?
You see, I agree, but they make it a bigger thing than what it is. They just can't get through, debating it, and is it going to cause injury? Forget that part.
It's just an illegal play.
It's it.
It seems like it to me. I mean, that's my interpretation, that you're not allowed to shove a guy forward and have that count as part of his forward progress.
You could do that the entire length of the field.
That's what I'm saying. Like, where in the rest of the field? Like, if a guy catches the ball, when are they allowed to just start shoving him? Like, I feel like there's no way they would allow that. So why
carry a guy across?
Why is it allowed at the line of scrimmage? Like, I never understood. Andy said in 2005 they made this legal. What happened in 2005 where they're like, okay, now let's allow them to just shove the crap out of each other for? Like, I know the Eagle fans are pissed because it's worked for them. But here's the deal: if your line is so strong and Jalen Hurts is so strong, why do you need it? Right? Yeah. Like, Jalen Hurts bench, he squats 600. Okay, so like I don't get why it's illegal. That's my problem. Is I don't care about the Eagles. Like, I just have never, when the Reggie Bush Notre Dame thing happened in the early 2000s, the Bush push, like, as it's happening, people are like, is this legal? Like, I swore it was illegal then. Like, I'm just confused by it. Like, I don't get the backlash and any of that. It's never seemed legal. Like, so why wouldn't you just say, yeah, it's illegal? Like, go do a QB sneak.
Pick the smallest guy in the field and take him with you.
Yeah, just carry him.
Like, that's what's going to happen, Tony. It's going to get down to dwarf bowling. They're going to reduce the NFL from the glamorous game that it is, the tough physical game, and you're going to be throwing, for lack of a better word, but I mean, some circus midget over the top of the line of scrimmage as everybody just lays down and does a gator flop, and that'll be it. And that'll be debated. I don't understand the need to debate this any further, and it seems like, I mean, it's really, other teams do it, but it's mostly the characteristic of the Philadelphia Eagles. They've been the first and most frequent advocate of it. It just seems like you should not be able to push a guy forward. But what if Shula, instead of having a hook and lateral play in that classic game against San Diego, the Chargers at the Orange Bowl in Epic, and what if Tony Nathan, instead of laddering the ball off to Duriel Harris after catching a pass, what if the entire offensive line had just assembled in that area, and as soon as Nathan caught the ball, they just shoved him all the way to the goal line?
Like, I don't get the difference.
Amen.
How crazy is that?
Amen. Amen.
I don't get it.
Yeah. So it seems like you're kind of reversing the idea of forward progress, where if you're going to award the ball carrier the spot where the defense started to knock them back into the next time zone, with 10 guys pushing and rolling them backwards, then how can you allow the ball carrier to achieve forward progress because his team is pushing him?
Exactly.
If can push him back, why can the offense push him forward?
What time can we go to Palm Beach, Tony?
Yeah, good luck.
We need to talk to these people. And now they altered the kickoff rule.
10:30?
Yeah, we could probably leave about 11. I don't know if we have time to fix this. All right, so we go up there and we tap on Jerry Jones' door, wherever he happens to be coming out of, and we say, "Hey, Jerry, what's up with this?" Now, here's a weird one. And speaking of trying to institute rules and administrate rules, try and administrate some of the injuries out of the game and legislate it out of the game, a very difficult thing to do. The kickoff, and now the kickoffs in the NFL are the strangest things I've ever seen. Now, are they not, Lubie?
They are bizarre.
Did you ever get used to it? I mean, just seeing people line up 10 yards apart and then the kicker's back somewhere, at the 35 or whatever.
It's stupid.
And they're standing there until the ball is received.
It's ridiculous.
Like they're going to score on a sacrifice fly. You're like, well,
yes, it looks like it looks like a sack fly.
They're tagging up.
Imagine. I mean, being a special teams coach and trying to figure out Mike Westhoff, I bet he's glad he's out of the game now. So here's the thing. So they're trying to avoid these collisions which caused injuries, and it seemed like somebody was always, on the ground, writhing in agony after a kickoff return, if the ball was actually returned. But now they're going to bring it out to the 35-yard line if you put it in the end zone. So you're essentially, 35-yard line would normally be, and you're going to start out in pretty good field position, Tony. What do you think about that? The 35, only 65 yards to go to tie this ball game.
You're gonna get one of your players to kick it off. You're not gonna get a kicker anymore. Plain and simple.
You're going to not want to give up the 35.
No, you're not.
So you're now encouraged to have a kickoff return, which was the very thing that they were trying to avoid. And so you have to watch this weird play, knowing that if your guy does the usual thing, which is just bomb this ball into the end zone, that the 35-yard line is fairly punitive, is it not? One of the more horrific penalties you could occur in the NFL is when they kick it out of bounds.
Don't get me started on this.
Yeah.
Don't get me started.
Bring it to 40
because it's why do you even want to run it out?
You wouldn't.
Plain and simple.
Unless you needed to score, or it was late in the game and your only chance was to run it out and get within field goal range or within a play or so.
Let's go back to the 20.
35-yard line on a touchback. That's a lot. They all put them into the end zone now. That wasn't always the case. Is there helium in that ball that they use for the kickoff?
They're trying to get more offense into the game. And I don't know how much more offense you could get than we have now.
You have high scoring, which most people would be in favor of. I don't know that anybody wants to watch the Steelers in another defensive bloodbath with Mike Tomlin running the ball on every play, and it's 6-0 in the third quarter, and you're thinking, whoa, this is a real barn burner. But just weird, a weird approach, because they put back into the game the idea that you want to have somebody run this ball back, and yet they were sort of weeding that out slowly by at least. At the 30-yard line was already enough for me.
I didn't catch yesterday's. What is the latest on this?
What's that? Oh, that's what they did. If you kick it in the end zone, that was a rule change. Now it comes out to the 35.
Oh, it's a 35.
Yes.
Oh,
35. That's half the field almost.
I thought you were BSing.
Like arena football.
I didn't realize that was a real thing. They want to watch 35 now. So they don't want defense at all. They just don't
want defense at all.
They don't give a crap. You're allowed to shove dudes.
They don't want defense at all.
All right, so I don't know how impactful that's going to be. I'm not sure. It would be a significant enough change for me to think that if you are kicking the ball off, you don't want to kick it into the end zone now, and so
you don't want to kick it.
The likelihood more guys get crushed than even before.
They're now pushing it to try and have more kickoffs. Okay,
so just go back to what you had.
Like
people liked it before. It's exciting.
Well, it's boring. It's boring as hell to have a play that does nothing. Right? That's why they made the extra point worth more or more difficult.
Yeah.
Okay, we agree.
And who doesn't like the prospect? Look, you covered University of Miami when every time the ball was in the air on a punt or a kickoff, you thought there was a chance that Kevin Williams was going to take it back to the end zone. Now, was there anything more exciting in the pros?
No.
Going old school, I remember with Green Bay, Travis Williams, he was likely to run two back in the same game. And it's one of the most exciting plays. So
it's exciting.
I'm all in favor of safety and all of that.
Pick.
But I don't know that they've really done anything. They've screwed it up so much. It's kind of like you're staring at one of those things at Art Basel.
Yeah.
Tape the banana to a blank canvas.
I'm trying to figure out why this is art. Yeah.
And you're looking at it going.
You're thinking of Seinfeld with George,
why am I watching
George buying that stupid painting.
Yeah.
It's $500. He goes, I don't even know what it is.
All right, so here's a big solution now. And we've been advocating this. I think even Lubie has come around to this. He thought it was ridiculous. He thought it was as bizarre as my April Fool's prank yesterday that Tua was traded.
What was your April? You know what?
That Tua was traded to the Tennessee Titans for the number 1 overall pick and some future considerations. There were some swaps of later draft picks. And that was all part of a genius plan by Chris Greer because he was going to sign Aaron Rodgers as a stopgap measure, not believing that Cam Ward was the man. And in the meantime, get that Carter kid to be an edge rusher and improve the Dolphins club immensely and not really lose much because the belief would be that Tua was never going to win a championship here and was going to cost him a lot of money to
that's true.
utility. Okay.
That's true.
It was believable, I think, until the Rodgers part.
Yes.
That seemed a little far-fetched. But that was it. I mean, I don't think we were fooling anybody. I later had one on my betting show that we do, and I had a handicapper convinced that casinos were no longer going to be charging vig or juice on bets, that they were making so much money that instead of having to lay 110 to win 100, you were not going to have to pay that vigorish anymore. That it was just going to be you bet 100, you win 100. And you know that's when you're putting out 110 to win 100 on most bets, or whatever proportion you derive after that. And so if they eliminated that, I mean, it would be extremely favorable to all gamblers.
Yes, it would.
But when do casinos, when do betting interests ever make things more favorable to the gamblers? I mean, rarely do you see a new casino game introduced where you go, oh, hey, look at that, Caribbean stud poker. That ought to be a good one. Where you're playing into mind-boggling negative odds.
Oh God, Lubie.
But it's the overtime thing. I wanted to get to this because we have some other stuff here we want to touch on, Tony. But overtime, the game should just continue from where it was. How simple is that? Now they've added the postseason to the regular season, which makes a lot more sense that each team at least is guaranteed one possession. But
if you got a fourth down and let's say one,
yeah,
at the 40, you should continue right where you are.
Exactly. That's
Right
where the game ended,
Plain
and just
simple.
pick it right up.
Yes.
And I don't know. I mean, would it really change? It would make the end game strategy even more critical in those positions.
Yes, it would. Yes, it would.
And you have to decide whether to go for it or not. And but I mean, you just had a bloodbath for 60 minutes. Why start over again? And then, well, they were doing it under really cockamamie circumstances where the coin toss, even though I think statistically, if you looked at it, you would have to find that the majority of teams that won in overtime in the NFL regular season, especially, had won the coin toss.
Oh yeah. By far.
You think that's true, Libby? We could look it up, I guess.
The percentages are massively imbalanced.
Yeah, because look, the team comes down, they score a touchdown, you don't even see the ball. Now they've changed that, and they've gone with the model that they use in the postseason, which is also another thing that is somewhat ridiculous. I understand the need for the shootout in hockey during the regular season. You don't want these games going 7 periods.
Yeah,
but
that's really exciting.
Well, and I like when they go 3-on-3. That's the thing.
Yeah, the 3-on-3 is great.
That usually ends it. You have way less shootouts.
You don't see as many shootouts. You're right.
You don't really see them because the 3-on-3 is like someone scoring.
But they've been tinkering with rules.
That's right.
Yeah, thing because they used to have the sudden death, but I mean, you're watching a hockey game. It gets to be 11 o'clock at night or whatever, and now they're going to go into the third overtime period, and you're thinking, I don't know if I can take this anymore. You're ready to just pop a cyanide cap and see that.
I look forward to this half hour because I laugh for about 25 minutes of it.
But this seems like the one favorable thing, except for the fact that they were ignoring the obvious solution, which I think all fans would clamor for. And that is, instead of going into a coin flip and who gets the ball first, well, we're going to defend over here, Captain Jones, Captain Smith.
Just keep the ball.
Just, okay, game ended, 5-minute break. Let's come back out there and decide the ball game.
Yes. Yes.
Sudden death, and whoever has the ball at the time that the game ended has the ball when it picks up.
It would leave it for, if it were that, it would leave it for more critical plays toward the end by the losing team.
Yeah. I mean, look, if you scored as the clock expired and tied the game up, then guess what? You're kicking off.
Yeah.
If you had the ball 4th and goal at the half-yard line,
it's your ball. It's
having to go, oh, my God, I mean, what are we going to do? The time's expiring. I know it may affect some clock management. That's possible. I don't know. I've yet to find the downside to that theory, and yet everybody laughs at me like I'm a clown when I bring it up, including Lubie, who is only being gratuitous because we work together every day of the week. But he thinks I'm a jerk with this theory. Let's go, Tony. Let's get up there and do it.
I'll pick you up about 10:30.
Who can we talk to first? Who do we go to? Who's the head of the rules committee? Do we know?
I don't even know anymore.
Yeah, it's got to be Jerry. I mean, he's running the whole league. What are we talking about, Jerry Jones? Will he ever put a championship team together? It seems unlikely, doesn't it?
Oh my God, that's pitiful.
Amazing, huh?
It's pitiful. It's pitiful.
Well, I mean, that's the over-involved owner.
Yep.
And maybe with some football acumen. I don't know. Is Jerry Jones clueless about football? I don't think that's the case. He
Ask
probably
Jimmy
knows more than
Johnson.
Stephen Ross.
Ask Jimmy Johnson. They played together at Arkansas
Yeah, they
State.
played.
Oh, yeah. Well, Jimmy would be the advocate of the I don't know if clueless is a strong enough word. I don't know that we want to delve into those things. All right. Who do you like in the tournament, Tony? We'll finish up with this. You have I'll give you a heads up on this, some critical inside information which may influence your position. I need Houston to win it all, and I'll win this poll. I'm the only guy that has Houston, and it's the biggest point value, obviously, the championship game. So if they get by Duke, which seems like the tallest of assignments for even as oppressive a defensive club as they are, I don't know. What do you see, Tony? Houston and Duke. Would you give Houston even the slightest chance to win this game straight up?
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
I'm
I'll
thrilled
give
with
Houston
that.
a chance. The Florida game is up in the air for me yet. I hate to see Florida win, but boy, oh boy, they're playing at the top of their game right now, and I don't like to say it, but boy, oh boy, it's.
You still harbor Gator hatred, huh?
Oh yeah.
What is that? Does it stem from just the Gator flop? I know that was a big influence in your stance and position here.
It stems from the Gator flop.
And you never got over the flop, huh?
Never got over it. I was on the
It's understandable, Tony. It really is for a man of your integrity.
I was on the field.
You are? Okay.
And I was filming, and I'm thinking, why is he why is this happening?
Yeah.
I take the camera down, and I see, oh my God, they all fell to the.
They flopped to the ground so that they could establish a record of what touchdowns was it?
That's the only grudge.
I think it was passing to the quarterback. It was something for the quarterback.
Quarterback.
Yeah. Reeves. Yeah.
Reeves.
That's the only grudge I hold.
That's it.
That's it.
Spurrier never made you think, hey, I wouldn't root for these guys if my life depended on it.
Nope.
No.
Nope.
The audacity. What was it? The audacity of the Gator Nation.
No.
The indignant way that they seem to regard everybody else.
Nope.
That didn't bother you at all those years? I mean, you're taking calls on the radio from Gator fans going, you don't know nothing, Tony Segreto. You're lucky to have a job.
It's the Gator flop.
Justifying the unjustifiable, taking the Hurricanes off of their schedule. Schnellenberger was begging Spurrier, please don't do this. Right? It wasn't Spurrier. I mean, it was whoever was the coach. Was it Charlie Pell at the time? Who the hell was coaching?
No.
And he offered them. I'll never forget this because we had to cover this. He offered them a 4-game series.
A 4-game series.
2 games in Gainesville, one at the Orange Bowl, and the other at a neutral site, which was far from neutral because every cracker in Orlando was rooting for the Florida Gators. You go to a bar in Orlando, you won't find a single Auburn fan anywhere in sight.
You won't find. No, you're right. You go north of Lake Worth, and it's all Gators.
It's all Gators. It's all hillbillies. What are you talking about? It's all the rejected from Deliverance.
That's okay for me, but it's the. Yeah, that's
all right. So what do you see? I for some reason, and this is probably a really bad reason, I'm feeling Auburn a little bit in this game, straight up. Auburn, looking at 2.5 points you're getting with the Gators. That line has stayed the same, so many people see this as a toss-up, somewhat of one. Gators had 2 struggles in the tournament. I'm not sure if that's an indicator that they are these big survivors and are moving on, as the cliche would go, or the credo would go, or that they're just vulnerable, and that somebody's going to take them out. And at Auburn, off this last performance against Michigan State, how do you dismiss them at this point?
I like Auburn, Duke in the finals, and Duke winning it all because they're both so good.
You just
And
crushed
you know,
me, Tony. Crushed me like a grape.
and
I'm with you though. Yeah. Oh, you said what? Florida or Auburn? You think Auburn wins?
Auburn and Duke.
Auburn and Duke.
Okay.
Duke is just so good. You know it, and I give the guy credit because that was a hard thing to overcome. Was Mike Krzyzewski.
Oh yeah.
And he overcame it, and he brought in his guys, and they believe. They may not be the best team, but they believe, and I think that goes a long way.
They have a lot of well-rounded players.
Maybe we're the best team too.
I think
they're pretty loaded.
Just looking at what we've seen so far, you would have to say I wouldn't take
the best player. That's
just went well.
Who do you like in the women?
Oh God!
I had UConn with no level of expertise to validate or fortify my opinion, but I had been watching UConn in the last few weeks that I've seen women's college basketball, and of course when Juju went down, that didn't hurt their cause any. Juju Watkins there, USC. But I think Gino does it again. And Gino, in spite of the fact, another one of those guys that you don't like because your first impression, somebody says Gino Auriemma, and you say something that rhymes with Rick. But wow, we were looking at his resume: 40 years coaching, 24 Final Four appearances, and 11 championships.
Yeah,
amazing. And remember,
That's
Tony,
amazing.
you're a women's college basketball fan. UConn was nothing special in the loop, as I recall, before he got there. So he really made that program.
He made that program
bigger than Tennessee, Old Dominion, some of the old standards. Although he hasn't won the title, I don't believe, since 2000. Is it 16? I think it's been 9 years.
Yeah, it's been 9 years. I don't particularly like the guy because of what he does, but you got to.
He seems a bit pompous, you would have to say. Although it looks to me like he might have mellowed some.
He does?
Some. A little bit. I mean, he's not as outrageous and demonstrative as he was. And when I see him in interviews, he seems to have sort of, have a deeper reflection on the entirety of this story, more so than just yelling and screaming about what's happening right now.
Yeah, maybe. But, boy, Paige Beckers is so good.
Great player, yeah, no doubt.
She is a great. And I was telling somebody the other day that I think you've come around, and I think Lubie's come around to seeing women's basketball as really, really good.
Wrong, dude.
Tony, let's not go too far. We love you, man. Nobody would ever disrespect you. Anybody that does, we want to just slap them silly.
Yeah.
Not advocating violence, but it's not the same. I'm sorry.
It's not the same.
Maybe it isn't meant to be looked at as being the same, but I keep coming back to this. I'm a big fan of women's tennis on the pro level, and I think it approximates the men's game. Not that the men's game being so misogynistic that it has to be that way, but if you're looking for overall quality of play, and you watch women's tennis, it comes as close to looking like the men's game as the men's game, which is, exponentially faster and with harder hitting all the way around. But the women are right there. They really make it interesting. Women's college basketball, I'm sorry, even at the highest levels, Tony, I'm watching a lot of slop. I really am. A lot of slop. The same lob pass going into the post that is dropped by the intended person that's supposed to catch the ball, drops out of bounds, and they come back and run the same play 3 times down in a row, and the same result happens. Just slop. Air balls, a lot of, scrums, rebounds that hit the ground first. A lot of slop, Tony. Although there was a run there by UConn with the aforementioned Paige Beckers and this young lady named Strong, and they hit a series of shots there where they look like the Denver Nuggets.
Yeah,
they look great.
I think the women have come a long way, and they've shown themselves to be really, really good, and you got to accept it for what it is. and it's a lot better than what it was, and it's getting a lot better.
That would be true. Progress has been made. I would agree with you there. On that note, we're going to leave. We're going to let you have the last point and be the winner of whatever sports debate we got into here today as we try to go Stephen A. Smith on the show. Rule change. Just start the game where it left off. Lubie's sort of coming around to this, although
Start the game where you left off, and that's the end of it.
that's it. In football, it would be a unique
I'll
thing.
pick you up at 10:30.
Run up there, man. Let's talk to somebody. Let's bang on some doors. All right, Tony, we love you, man. Thanks so much for being with us. Tony Segredo, ladies and gentlemen, the great, iconic Tony Segredo. Brought to you by Texas Roadhouse Restaurants.
Yes.
All right, so tomorrow we will have Scott Spinelli join us, and we'll also have the trivia challenge going tomorrow.
Yeah, so Gers will join us at like 8:15. We'll get a jump start at the trivia challenge a little early. Like Gurgle's going his way, and then talk with Coach Scott Spinelli at about 8:45.
There is nothing that you can give your audience like a chance to win something. I don't care what it is, Lubie. And in this case, it's a very nifty prize. And we differentiate if you're somebody that's in our hometown here in South Florida. Boom, we'll send you to a local place that's dynamite. And if not, you could be anywhere and pretty much take advantage of our gift certificate to Texas Roadhouse. And if you're traveling during the summertime, especially, wow, how great is that? Stop in and get a couple of freebie meals. That'd be awesome. All right, we'll see you next time as we leave you know that.
The time.
It's 9:08.
Let's go to eat a damn snack.